Number 1. The moment they try to shame you. Listen carefully. The moment someone tries to shame you is not an accident. It is a calculated move. Shame is never about morality. It is about control. Weak people shame because they lack authority. Losers shame because they lack leverage. And insecure minds shame because they are terrified you might see through them. When someone tries to embarrass you, expose you, or make you feel small, understand this first rule of Machiavellian psychology. No one attacks from above. They only strike when they feel threatened. Shame is a psychological weapon designed to provoke emotion, anger, defensiveness, embarrassment, because emotion makes you predictable, and predictable people are easy to dominate. This is where most men fail. They react, they explain, they justify, they try to clear their name, and in doing so, they hand power to the very person who tried to humiliate them. Stoic power begins when you refuse to play that game. You don't rush to defend yourself. You don't rush to correct the narrative. You don't rush to prove anything. Silence, when used correctly, is not weakness. It is pressure. Cold restraint creates imbalance in the other person's mind. They expect collapse. They get calm. They expect excuses. They get stillness. This unsettles them more than any argument ever could. Machiavellian men understand something brutal. Your reputation is not defended through words, but through behavior over time. The man who panics at shame reveals dependency on approval. The man who stands unmoved signals independence. And independence is intimidating. When you do not react, their weapon malfunctions. Their audience feels it. Their confidence slips. Their next move becomes sloppy. This is how power begins. Not with dominance, but with emotional immunity. Remember this. Shame only works on those who need validation. If you want to become untouchable, you must first accept this truth. No one owes you understanding, and you owe no one an explanation. Master this moment, and you take the first step towards psychological superiority. Number 2, why they need to see you fall. Understand this with brutal clarity. When someone tries to shame you, it is never about what you did. It is about what you represent. You are a mirror they don't want to look into. Your confidence exposes their insecurity. Your restraint highlights their chaos. Your potential reminds them of their stagnation. In Machiavellian psychology, shaming is a dominance ritual used by those who feel their position slipping. They need an audience. They need validation. They need to see you react so they can reassure themselves that they still matter. This is why they push harder when you stay calm. Silence terrifies insecure people because it denies them feedback. No anger to feed on. No apology to weaponize. No weakness to exploit. Masculine stoicism is not emotional numbness. It is selective expression. You feel everything, but you reveal nothing. And this imbalance puts you in control. Dark psychology teaches that humans fear uncertainty more than confrontation. When you don't react, their mind starts filling the silence with doubt. Did I go too far? Did I misjudge him? Why isn't this working? While they spiral internally, you remain composed externally. That contrast is power. Machiavellian men never rush to restore their image because they understand something most people don't. Public perception is shaped slowly, but destroyed quickly by overreaction. The man who scrambles to defend himself looks guilty, even when he's not. The man who moves forward unbothered forces observers to question the attacker instead. This is psychological judo, using their aggression against them without lifting a finger. And make no mistake, the audience is always watching. Humans instinctively side with the one who appears unshaken. Calm is authority. Emotional control signals high status. Panic signals low rank. When you refuse to fall, you deny them the emotional reward they were seeking. And without reward, behavior stops. This is why the most dangerous response to shame is not revenge. It is indifference with momentum. You don't pause your progress. You don't change your posture. You don't lower your standards. You simply continue, sharper, colder, and more disciplined than before. That is when they realize the truth they were trying to avoid. They needed to see you fall because your rise makes them irrelevant. This awareness breaks them quietly from the inside. Number 3, the power of controlled silence. Silence is misunderstood because weak men use it to hide, while powerful men use it to dominate. When someone tries to shame you, their goal is simple: force you into reaction so they can set the frame. The moment you speak emotionally, you are inside their narrative. Machiavellian psychology teaches that whoever controls the frame controls the outcome. Controlled silence shatters that frame. It creates a vacuum, and human psychology hates vacuums. The attacker begins to fill it with assumptions, justifications, and over-explanations, exposing themselves without you doing anything at all. This is not passive behavior. It is strategic restraint. Masculine stoicism demands that you speak only when your words increase your leverage. Anything else is noise. When you hold silence with relaxed posture, steady eye contact, and unhurried movement, you project an unspoken message. I am not threatened by you. That message hits harder than any insult. Dark psychology reveals that people equate emotional stability with superiority. The calmer you are under attack, the more powerful you appear. This triggers a subconscious recalibration in the minds of everyone watching. They begin to question the credibility of the one who is trying to shame you. Why is he so emotional? Why is the other one so calm? Status silently shifts. This is why kings spoke less than peasants. This is why leaders pause before responding. Silence forces others to reveal their intent, their insecurity, and their weakness. But here is the rule that separates control from cowardice. Silence must be intentional and not fearful. You do not avoid eye contact. You do not shrink your body language. You do not disappear. You stay present, still, grounded, watching. This unsettles people because it denies them closure. They want a reaction so they can move on feeling superior. You give them nothing, and that nothing follows them. They replay the moment later. They second-guess themselves. You live rent-free in their mind without trying. Machiavellian men understand that silence is most powerful when paired with consistent action. You don't explain yourself. You let your results speak. You don't argue your worth. You demonstrate it. Over time, your restraint builds a reputation more intimidating than aggression ever could. Remember this: those who talk under pressure reveal their fear. Those who stay silent reveal their strength. Master controlled silence and shame loses its grip on you forever. Number 4, never defend, always reframe. The fastest way to lose power is to defend yourself against an accusation that was never meant to be fair. Shame is not logic, it is theater. And when you defend, you step onto the stage as a supporting actor in someone else's performance. Machiavellian psychology is ruthless about this. Never accept the frame of your opponent. The moment you say, "Let me explain," you've already lost leverage. Explanation signals submission. It implies that the other person has the authority to judge you. Masculine stoicism rejects this instinct completely. You do not rush to clear your name because your name does not belong to the crowd. Instead, you reframe calmly, briefly, and on your terms. Reframing is not arguing. It is redefining the meaning of the situation without emotional investment. For example, instead of denying a shaming remark, you acknowledge it with detachment. That's an interesting interpretation. Or, you're free to think that. These statements do something subtle and devastating. They shift ownership of the narrative back to the speaker. Suddenly, it's not a fact about you. It's an opinion about them. Dark psychology shows that humans feel discomfort when their attack fails to land. Reframing turns their certainty into doubt. It also signals high status because high-status individuals do not scramble to correct perceptions. They allow others to adjust themselves. You speak slowly. You keep your tone flat. You don't over-explain. One sentence is often enough. Anything more sounds like persuasion, and persuasion is unnecessary when you hold authority. The goal is not to win the exchange. The goal is to end it while standing taller than before. When you reframe instead of defend, observers subconsciously assign you the role of judge rather than defendant. This is a primal status shift. People respect those who define reality, not those who plead within it. Over time, this behavior conditions others. They learn that shaming you leads nowhere. No drama, no payoff, no dominance. So they stop. And those who don't stop slowly lose credibility because repeated emotional outbursts without results make them look unstable. Remember this principle. A man who explains himself too much is asking for permission to exist. You don't ask, you decide. Reframing is quiet authority in action. It is how you remain untouchable without raising your voice or lowering your standards. Number 5, emotional detachment is dominance. If you want to become immune to shame, you must detach from the need to be liked, understood, or approved. This is not cruelty, it is clarity. Dark psychology reveals a hard truth. The more emotionally invested you are in how others perceive you, the easier you are to control. Shame only works when it finds something to hook into. Emotional detachment removes the hook. Machiavellian men train themselves to observe their emotions without obeying them. You feel the sting, but you don't chase relief. You notice the discomfort, but you don't rush to eliminate it through reaction. This pause is where dominance lives. Masculine stoicism teaches that self-mastery always precedes mastery over others. When someone tries to shame you and sees no emotional reward, no anger, no embarrassment, no collapse, their brain registers failure. And humans hate ineffective strategies. They either escalate and expose themselves further, or they retreat. Both outcomes favor you. Emotional detachment also sharpens perception. While they are emotionally flooded, you are clear-headed. You see patterns, you see motives, you see timing. You begin to understand that most shaming attempts are confessions disguised as attacks. People project what they fear being exposed for. The liar accuses others of dishonesty. The insecure mock confidence. The powerless attack independence. Once you see this, shame loses its emotional charge and becomes information. And information is leverage. Stoic power is cold, but not empty. It is grounded in self-respect. You don't numb yourself. You discipline yourself. You decide which battles deserve energy and which deserve nothing at all. Over time, this detachment creates a reputation. People sense that you are not easily rattled. They choose their words carefully around you. Some admire it, others resent it. Both reactions signal status. Remember this rule. The man who cannot be emotionally moved cannot be psychologically controlled. When you detach from validation, shame collapses. When shame collapses, dominance becomes effortless. Stay still, stay focused, stay unreachable. Number 6, turn shame into a weapon. Most men try to escape shame. Machiavellian men do something far more dangerous. They redirect it. Dark psychology teaches that every attack contains energy. If you absorb it emotionally, it weakens you. If you redirect it strategically, it strengthens you. When someone attempts to shame you and you remain calm, detached and unreactive, the emotional pressure has nowhere to go. It rebounds. The attacker becomes the uncomfortable one. Their tone sharpens. Their words become excessive. They start justifying themselves. This is the moment when the power dynamic flips. You don't gloat. You don't smile. You simply let them talk. Humans reveal their instability when they feel unheard. By not interrupting, not defending, and not engaging emotionally, you allow them to disqualify themselves in front of everyone. Masculine stoicism here is surgical. You observe without attachment. Then when the moment is right, you respond with precision, not emotion. One calm statement, one neutral observation. Something like, "You seem very invested in this." That single line reframes the entire exchange. Now the focus is on their behavior, not your character. Shame has been returned to its source. This is psychological Aikido. You are not fighting force with force. You are letting force collapse under its own weight. Machiavellian philosophy understands that dominance is often achieved by letting others expose their lack of control. People respect composure more than aggression. They distrust emotional excess. By remaining grounded, you invite comparison, and comparison favors you. Over time, this trains your environment. Those who rely on shaming tactics learn that you are not a viable target. Those who value strength recognize you as someone not to be played with. Remember, the goal is not to humiliate them. The goal is to make their attempt ineffective. Ineffectiveness is humiliating enough. When shame stops working, it dies. And when it dies, so does their power over you. Number 7. Build a reputation that precedes you. Here is the truth most people learn too late. The strongest defense against shame is not a reaction in the moment, but a reputation built over time. Machiavellian psychology teaches that power is cumulative. Every time you respond with composure, restraint, and quiet confidence, you deposit into a psychological account. People begin to expect stability from you. They associate your presence with control. And once that expectation is set, attempts to shame you feel out of place, even to the audience. Masculine stoicism is consistency. You don't perform strength once. You live it repeatedly. You show up on time. You do what you say. You don't gossip. You don't explain yourself unnecessarily. You don't chase approval. These behaviors seem ordinary, but over time they create an aura. When someone finally tries to shame you, it clashes with the image others already have. Observers feel the dissonance. That doesn't sound like him. And in that moment, you don't need to say anything. Your history speaks for you. Dark psychology reveals that humans trust patterns more than words. One accusation can be dismissed. A consistent character cannot. This is why powerful men play the long game. They understand that silence today strengthens authority tomorrow. Your reputation becomes a shield that absorbs attacks before they reach you. People think twice before challenging someone who appears unshakable. They instinctively avoid wasting energy on targets that won't react. And those who ignore this instinct often regret it socially. Remember this principle. Short-term reactions trade long-term power for temporary relief. You sacrifice the urge to defend in order to gain something far greater. Credibility that cannot be shaken by noise. When your reputation precedes you, shame arrives already defeated. Number 8. Discipline your inner reaction. Here is where most men lose the war without anyone noticing, inside their own head. Even when you stay silent externally, shame can still poison you internally if you let it replay, echo, and rot. Machiavellian control begins when you discipline not just your actions, but your inner dialogue. Dark psychology makes this clear. What you rehearse mentally becomes your emotional default. If you keep revisiting the insult, imagining comebacks, or wishing you had reacted differently, you are still under their control. Masculine stoicism demands a harder standard. You acknowledge what happened once, extract the lesson, and then you shut the door. No rumination, no fantasy arguments, no self-attack. This is not suppression, it is command. You decide what deserves mental energy. When shame appears in your thoughts, you treat it like an uninvited guest, noticed but not entertained. The strongest men are not those who feel nothing, but those who refuse to dwell. Dwelling is weakness disguised as introspection. Machiavellian men replace emotional replay with forward motion, physical training, skill building, strategy. Action starves shame of oxygen. The mind cannot obsess when it is engaged in purpose. This is why disciplined routines are psychological armor. They anchor identity internally, so external noise loses relevance. Over time, your nervous system rewires. Shame stops triggering panic and starts triggering indifference. That is real power. Remember, people who try to shame you want space in your head more than space in public. Don't give it to them. Your mind is sovereign territory. Guard it ruthlessly. When you master your inner reaction, external attacks feel distant, almost irrelevant. And once that happens, you become something rare. A man who cannot be shaken because he does not betray himself. Number 9, when to strike back and when not to. Absolute restraint does not mean permanent silence. Machiavellian power is not passive, it is selective. There are moments when not responding builds strength, and moments when a precise response ends the threat permanently. The mistake most men make is striking from emotion instead of timing. Dark psychology teaches that retaliation is only effective when it is cold, minimal, and justified by context. If you respond too early, you look defensive. Too late, and you look bitter. The correct moment is when the audience has already begun to question the attacker, when their behavior appears excessive, when your composure has established contrast. Only then do you speak briefly. One sentence, one fact, one observation that exposes inconsistency or motive. No insults, no raised voice. This is not revenge, this is correction. Masculine stoicism demands that any strike improves your position. If it doesn't increase respect, clarity, or distance from the attacker, it's wasted energy. Sometimes the most powerful strike is not words at all, it's consequences. Reduced access, less cooperation, silent removal from your circle. People feel lost more deeply than confrontation. Machiavellian men understand that exclusion is often more painful than embarrassment. When someone realizes they no longer matter to you, their need to shame turns inward. They lose the audience, they lose relevance, and relevance is what they were chasing all along. Remember this rule: never punish emotionally, punish structurally. Change the environment so their behavior no longer reaches you. That is the final form of dominance. When they can no longer touch your reputation, your peace, or your progress, the conflict ends without drama, you move on. They stay stuck. That is the quiet victory few ever witness, and none can undo. Number 10, becoming untouchable. At this point, understand what you've built. You are no longer someone who reacts to shame. You are someone it cannot reach. Machiavellian psychology does not create loud men. It creates dangerously calm ones. You've learned that shame is a tool of the insecure, that silence fractures weak aggression, that reframing steals the narrative, that emotional detachment removes leverage, and that discipline, inner and outer, makes you untouchable. Masculine stoicism is not about winning arguments. It's about becoming a man whose presence ends them. When people realize you cannot be provoked, cannot be controlled emotionally, and cannot be manipulated through public opinion, they adapt. Some fall away, some respect you. Either way, you are free. Dark power is not domination over others. It is sovereignty over yourself. You don't need to destroy anyone. Their tactics collapse on their own when you stop feeding them. And this is the final truth. The most humiliating thing you can do to someone who tries to shame you is to continue rising without acknowledging them. Success, composure, and forward motion erase more enemies than confrontation ever will. Carry this mindset into every room you enter. Walk slowly, speak less, choose your battles, protect your mind, build your reputation quietly. Let others expose themselves. You don't need to announce your strength, it will be felt. And when you reach this level, remember why you started. Not to dominate the world, but to never be dominated by it. If this message sharpened your mindset, strengthened your frame, or helped you see power more clearly, then like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Because this is where weak reactions end and untouchable men are forged.